Now, the third superpower of the US dollar is the dollar's exclusive ability to buy oil. Shortly after World War II, since the US was pretty much the only standing superpower left, it created something called the Bretton Woods Agreement, which essentially tied all currencies around the world to the US dollar, and the dollar became extremely powerful. But a couple decades later, something happened in 1971. The US ran out of money. In 1971, President Richard Nixon announced to the world that 35 US dollars would no longer redeem 1 ounce of gold like was originally promised.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
Instead, the only thing that dollars would be able to redeem is just more debt. And by 1971, the US had been using the dollar's dominance for decades to get themselves favorable foreign policy. So the question is, when the US ran out of gold, why didn't the rest of the world go back to using their own currency? And the answer is, because they couldn't, because of that third superpower. In 1945, President Franklin Roosevelt set up a secret wartime meeting that would change the course of US history. Very few records were kept from that meeting, but Roosevelt promised the King of Saudi Arabia protection in exchange for the US to have the exclusive right to develop oil from Saudi Arabia. Meaning, if another country wanted to buy oil because they need to power their country, which is something they did need and still need to do, they also need US dollars. That's the birth of the petrodollar. And that's also why every single US president since that meeting has cozied up to Saudi Arabia to maintain those positive relationships.
Our house is your house.
There's an Arab saying, the sands are blowing. And I submit to you, King Fahd, that if the sands of time give us any hint of the future, it is that in the days ahead, the friendship between the Saudi Arabian and American people will be a strong and vital force in the world.